Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 93 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills answers your table tennis questions. Today, we discuss if you should be thinking about technique during a match, how to stop putting pressure on yourself, how to add extra spin to your backhand loop, and whether you should be using your shoulder as part of your forehand topspin. As always, Supercoach Alois Rosario is here with me to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
Good morning, Jeff, and another good morning here in Melbourne.
Yes, it certainly is. My wife's been laughing at me with my good morning to everybody, Alois, at the start of the show. Perhaps I need a new slogan or some way to start the show.
Yeah, you sound a little bit Robin Williams-ish from, what's that movie again?
Oh, yes, Good Morning, Vietnam.
That's this.
Good morning, PingSkillers.
That's it. That's what we need. That's what we need.
Okay. And for those that are in cricketing countries, I saw that England lost to Bangladesh and are out of the World Cup. Alice, what is going on?
I don't know. All you English people out there will be very disappointed today, I am sure. Already had to dig at a few of my English friends, so we'll spare you guys.
Yeah, although they tend to not care about the cricket as much, and they just focus on the football, or what we call soccer here. But unfortunately, the cricket's only on Foxtel here, or the pay television, for all the matches except for the Australian one, so I didn't get to see any of that. But yeah, anyway, let's hope Australia goes a bit better than England. But, alright, I think we should get into the questions, because not everybody likes cricket, Alois, whereas everybody loves table tennis.
That's it. You got
it. So yesterday's PingSkiller question of the day was, is Fan Zhendong the best under-18 player ever? What are your thoughts, Alois?
Yeah, I reckon it's interesting, this question, because I think there's a lot more opportunities for under-18 players now, as far as, World Junior Championships and World Junior Circuit events as well. So, Fan Zhendong has really, come to the fore. He's number 3 in the world in the seniors. I think that is incredible. I was doing a little bit of a comparison with the great Waldner. So Waldner, when he was 18, let me just have a quick squiz of that. So Waldner, when he was 18, 1983, so he had become runner-up at the European Championships in 1982, which is huge. When he was 18, he came 9th in the European top 12, but then the next year he won the European top 12, which at that stage, now it doesn't sound that great, winning the European events, but in those days, a lot of the top players in the world were from Europe, so it was huge. Of course, he didn't have Olympics at that stage, because the Olympics only started in 1988. What else can we dig up for? Oh, the World Championships. Yeah, see, the World Championships in 1983 when he was 18, round of 16. 2 years later, only got to the round of 32, and then it took him until 1987. So to come runner-up and then win the next time round. So he did also come runner-up at the World Cup in 1983. So that's I think it's pretty impressive, but maybe the fact that Fan Zhendong is number 3 in the world, I think probably puts him ahead, I have to say.
Yeah, that's interesting stats there. And like you said, there were no World Junior titles there for Waldner to compare to, but yeah, number 3 in the world, unbelievable effort. Yeah. And we'll get to see him play at the Worlds this year, so it will be interesting to see how he goes at the Worlds, and then we can make even more comparisons.
That's right. So Waldner, round of 16 when he was 18. Let's see where Fan Zhendong gets to.
Yeah, it's always hard at a Worlds, and anything can happen, and, nothing's guaranteed, but I've got a feeling he's going to make it further than the round of 16, but we'll see.
We shall see.
All right. Now, the PingSkills question of the day is, After winning the German national title again, is Bowl ready to take the world title? So we looked in pretty good form. We put a link up on our Facebook page. So if you haven't, go like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/PingSkills. You'll see that post plus plenty of others. And then, yeah, let us know, is Bowl ready to take the world title again? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Alice and I will give you our take on that tomorrow. All right, so into the questions, Alois. First up, we've got one from Dieter, who says, "Hi guys." He says, "Today I read a few mental tips. The author said not to think about technique during a match because it will make your game slow. A club mate told me the same, but I had always thought you had to consciously bring what you've learned to match situations." What are your thoughts, Alois?
Yeah, good one, Dieter. It's a bit of a process. So ultimately, what you do want to do is forget about technique and just play. If you are thinking about technique, it does slow you down a little bit. However, when we're starting to think about your development, it's important to make sure that you start to bring those techniques into your match situation, which is quite difficult initially. And so it almost needs to be a bit more of a conscious thing to think about, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm playing my strokes correctly. Eventually, as I said, and ultimately, that will all be completely automatic, and you'll just be focusing on the ball, focusing on tactics for each point, using your pre-point routine. But there is a little bit of a stepping stone or a process to go through to get to that level.
Yeah, very interesting. I love this topic, Alois. And I've got a few anecdotes about it or stories about it, and I'd like to get your thoughts. So I've heard a lot of people describe it just like driving. Initially, when you first learn to drive, it's like you hop in the car and you see a car coming the other way and you're like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get past it without hitting it. And it's really difficult and it takes quite a long time to get used to driving. But then after a while, it does become automatic. Like you'll drive to work and you won't even remember driving to work. So you've just done it all subconsciously. And I've heard some people say that that's how you should be in a match for table tennis. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that. But then the other thing I've heard is that once you reach that subconscious stage, if you don't step back and deliberately look at your game, then you're not going to improve because you're doing everything subconsciously. So just like your thoughts on those two ideas.
Yeah, so I certainly like the driving analogy because it is really similar. I'm going through that at the moment with my daughter who's learning to drive. So initially it's a lot about okay, now I've got to put my indicator on. Now I've got to press the brake. I've got to slow down, speed up. But as you said, now I often drive miles and miles or kilometers, and you just don't even remember what you've done. You can't remember turning on your indicator, or you can't remember pressing the brake or the accelerator. It all just happens very automatically. So that is the state that you do need to get to. So your other point about taking a step back, I think that's also important. And just think about your improvement. But I think a lot of that is also done in the training situation. So in the training situation, you're programming yourself to execute things automatically in the game situation.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So in the games, once you get developed enough, try and be automatic and not think about your technique too much. But when you're practicing, make sure you've got to focus and you're really deliberately trying to improve parts of your game.
Yeah.
All right. Great question, Dieter. I love it. Good one. All right. Now we have one from Johan who says, "Hi, Alois. I recently noticed that I am not playing as well as I could because I put a lot of pressure on myself. How can I stop putting pressure on myself? Thank you."
Yeah, Johan. it's something that we tend to do naturally. I think firstly you need to think about your expectations and think about setting yourself a few little goals along the way. So what are you really out there trying to do? If the goal is to purely win the match, then you're going to be in trouble. So if the goal is to do something like stay focused, be relaxed, those sort of things, then you can win. Your opponent can win. Otherwise there's always one loser in the match. So don't put pressure on yourself thinking about winning the match on the scoreboard. Think about going through processes. Think about each point one at a time. Think about trying to execute the tactic that you want for that rally. So rather than focusing on the finish and focusing on winning and losing, which does immediately add pressure to yourself, think about the small processes that you can go through in the match.
Yeah, another great question, Johan. Thanks for that one, and hopefully Alois's words of wisdom there will help you out. Good luck. All right, next question is from Long, who says, I want to make a backhand loop, but my normal loop is not enough because it's not as strong as my forehand. So I want to make it better by increasing the spin. So how do I make a slow spinny loop or get more spin on the backhand? And then I'm going to add, Alois, is it also worth developing your backhand so it can be as strong as your forehand? But I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah. So with being able to play a slow backhand spinny loop, a couple of the keys. One is making sure that you're brushing the ball finely and brushing the ball a little bit more vertically if you want the slower ball. If you go forward, you're going to get the ball moving faster. If you go up more vertically, the ball's going to go slower and you'll be able to generate a lot of spin. We've got a lesson on the forehand slow spinny, or we focus on the forehand with the slow spinny topspin lesson. And you can apply the same principles to the backhand. So just making sure that you're brushing the ball finely. I think that's a really important stroke to try and develop, because if you're always trying to play your forehands, then you're going to be really struggling to get around all the time. As far as developing your backhand topspin to the level of your forehand, it's possible. There's no reason why you can't hit the backhand just as hard as with the forehand really now. You see some of the stronger players just really teeing off. The main thing with getting a bigger or faster backhand is getting a bigger swing. So swinging from more out to the side of you and all the way through. So so give it a go. I think what you're doing is good. I think developing the spinny backhand topspin can be a real weapon for you. So focus on those principles of a nice thin brushing contact and a little bit more vertical with your stroke.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of practice, but because you'd still need to swing your bat through quite fast, but it's very achievable with practice, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Like everything, just practice, because it's such a fine skill and a fine contact. It'll take a while, but you'll get there. Just keep working on it.
All right, thanks for the question, Long, and good luck. Hopefully those tips help you out. All right, now the next question is from Johnny, who says, hey, today, while I was playing, an experienced player watched me play and told me to use my forearm and my elbow and not to use my whole arm and my shoulder. I'm just a bit confused as I've been taught to use my whole arm. What are your thoughts, Alois?
Yeah, so it's a combination of all of those things. So, however, a lot of your movement comes from the forearm. So less movement comes from the shoulder. Your shoulder moves basically from this sort of position to that position there. So about, from that sort of angle. Whereas your bat and your forearm moves all the way from down here all the way up there. So your forearm's definitely moving a lot more than your upper arm. However, you do need both things. So if you're only using your forearm, you're not getting the benefit of the upper arm as well. So it's a combination of all the parts of your arm, from your fingers, your wrist, your back, your wrist, your elbow, and your upper arm as well, to make an effective forehand.
Okay, so that's a lot of things to concentrate on, isn't it? If you're thinking about the wrist and the forehand and the shoulder and the arm and the waist and the hips, which I guess is why you often say, Alois, that you should just concentrate on the start and finish position to begin with, and the rest will fall in place.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're focusing on the start and the finish, if you're finishing here, you have to be using your forearm. You can't get your back to touch your forehead if you're not using your upper arm. So that's just a simple way of learning it, and incorporates all of those things. So yeah, that's why we go through that simple little process.
Great, excellent. Well, thanks for the question, Johnny, and hopefully Alois has cleared things up for you. Next question is from Lucas, who has jumped on and asked a question using the Google Q&A app. So thanks, Lucas. And anybody can ask a question live on the show by going to plus.google.com/PingSkills. And Lucas's question is, so lately I've been watching a lot of Samsonov matches, and I just don't understand the contact on his serve. When he serves, he doesn't really loosen his grip up much, but he still gets crazy amounts of side spin. How?
Yeah. It might look like he's using a lot of wrist, but he still is. He's still using a lot of wrist as he comes through very, very, very quickly, and he's getting a very good contact on the ball. The other thing is that because he's using the high toss, you can generate more spin because the ball is dropping faster. So when the ball's dropping faster, it's moving faster, it's going to contact your bat faster, which might compensate for a little bit of less wrist, but the ball's moving faster, the bat's moving at that speed, and you're going to generate more spin. So that's the advantage of that high toss serve for Samsonov. But if you have a look carefully, he does use a lot of wrist at the last second as well to generate the spin.
Yeah, it's interesting, Alois, because I see a lot of top players, they look effortless, and the serve might look effortless, and even their forehand toss-ins look effortless, but on the serve they get heaps of spin, on the forehand they get heaps of power and heaps of speed, and you just sometimes wonder, how can they do that without even putting in any effort?
Yeah, it's because they're so practiced and so relaxed through the movement. So it then doesn't become an effort. When we first start to try and generate spin, we're doing this and we're really trying to get lots of spin by doing that. But Samsonov has the movement so well imprinted in his brain that it's completely effortless. It's just this. So he's just doing this. It doesn't look like he's doing much, but the wrist is moving really fast. The ball's coming down fast. Beautiful combination, lots of spin.
Yeah, I read an article recently on Bill Murray, and he was talking about his career, and he found out early that if he was relaxed, everything was better, and he found that applied to his work and his comedy, and he's just a really relaxed character apparently, and he thinks it helps in all aspects of life, and it was interesting, and I thought, similar things with table tennis. The more relaxed the player is, but still focused, seems to benefit them during matches.
Yeah, that's a really interesting article by Bill Murray. It absolutely translates to table tennis. When you are relaxed, you definitely play better, but you do need to go again through that process of learning and worrying and trying to drive the car, thinking about turning on the indicators, thinking about turning at the right time, until you get to the stage where you're proficient at those skills and you can become a little bit more relaxed with it.
Excellent. Great tip. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. That wraps up episode 93. Thank you, everybody, for your questions, and thank you, Alois.
Thanks, Jeff. And apparently there's only about 47 days till the World Championship starts. So, yeah, start to wind it up.
Exactly. Let's get the countdown going. And in the meantime, make sure you visit pingskills.com and sign up for our free newsletter. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. Have a great day.